Freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Prime time. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. It is March the 31st, 2016. Are you ready to surrender your freedoms? Are you ready to give away the thing they call liberty? Let the torch go out. Send Lady Liberty to bed. It's over. Because you know what? We have to stay safe. We have to stay safe. I'm scared. Are you scared? Let the fear control you. That's what they want. So allow it to happen. Let these presidential candidates, they get up there. They fearmonger, every single one of them. No matter if it's Bernie Sanders, guess what? It's the rich people, the banks. They're going to get you. And I'm going to stop them. But they're going to get you. They've been getting us. But I'm going to make them stop getting us. And Trump, it's the establishment. They've been running through us. Then you got Hillary. I don't know who she's against. I have no idea. Everybody's against her. And then, I don't know, there's other people running. I don't care. I really don't want to talk about the election at all tonight. If we can help it, that'd be great. What I do want to talk about is us, a community, as a people. And speaking of people, right now, I want to go to the wonderful Mr. Kevin Knight. Kevin, how are you doing?
Hey, man, I wouldn't call myself wonderful, but, yeah, man, doing great. Glad to be here. Be on with you guys.
You are wonderful, Kevin.
What's up, Shannon? How are you, man?
You are absolutely beautiful. How are you, Kevin? How are you, Mr. Gibson?
Doing good. Shannon Madden.
And live and in the flesh. Oh, we have a wonderful
sound director,
show.
Producer, Shannon Madden.
We have a wonderful show planned tonight.
Do we?
Oh, we do. We do. I mean, I do. I don't know what
I'm
you
glad
did.
you've...
I don't know what you did in the time leading up to the show. You were on the phone and doing Farmville or whatever you do.
What is that?
At least you weren't watching Fox, so, you know, that's important.
What's Farmville? Isn't it like a video game?
I think so. I heard something about it. Heard it.
Is it on the Sega Genesis? No.
Yes. Sega Genesis, man. I hadn't played Sega Genesis in years.
I think they've got a Sega
Sonic
CD
the Hedgehog,
now.
Phantasy Star.
I think there's a Sega CD now.
No, that's not. That didn't come out till Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully I'll get it. I'm not going to get it. Anyway, I tell you what, Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and get off the whatever we were just talking about. Who cares?
Sega CD coming out this Christmas.
What I led the top of the show with was talking about giving over our liberties for security. People do it right and left because of fear. People are scared. they'll give over whatever they have to. I mean, look at Boston. We're seeing it with the Brussels attack. What do you think about that, Kevin?
I hate to say it, man, but I'm not surprised. You know, that famous quote is, I know it's got to be a cliche, but it's really not, that those who are willing to give up their liberty for security, you know, deserve neither and will have neither. Or to paraphrase, anyways. And you know, it's and this is something I think, unfortunately, it's probably something in the human condition. I don't think Americans are by far not the only ones that do this, but you know, count on the state to always use that against us, and that's what the state always is going to do. Yeah, it's unfortunate, and we're going to see more and more and more of it, like you said, after these terrorist attacks. And you know, some of these attacks, we have a tendency to hear, oh, false flag this, or here's why it's happening this. It really, you know, you don't really have to even have a definite game plan as to whose fault or why. There doesn't have to be a false flag. It can be a false flag. Regardless, you can count on it. The state is going to use it to their advantage every single time. And most people are going to buy it hook, line, and sinker.
Well, you know, you mentioned false flag. I mean, and you're absolutely right. There are so many situations that come up that are used as quote unquote real situations that really happen in real time that are automatically used to cover up and scurry about under the guise of everybody looking at the big explosion in the sky. And there's all these, you know, dirty, underhanded tricks done under the table very quickly. You know, well, let's hurry up, move this thing along. Let's move this decision along, and this TPP type, you know, that decision that has huge ramifications for American policy and what happens in America.
Well, we saw some of that a little bit of that in the FBI San Bernardino cell phone case. You know, as the government wanted to take the somewhat isolated incident with the iPhone and make the case basically that they needed to have access to all phones. You know, for those of us, you know, most of us knew this was not about unlocking one phone. If we paid attention to to the FBI, we knew that it was more about setting a precedence. So yeah, that's what the state's going to do. And so I think it's, you know, unfortunately there has to be some people out there that are reminding people that, you know, it's impossible to live in a completely safe society. You know, even if we gave up 100% of our liberty, there's absolutely no way whatsoever that a government or a state can ensure your freedom, or ensure your safety. You're always going to have stuff slip through the cracks. And I personally, and I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way, I'd rather live with a little bit of dangerous liberty than have complete tyrannical security.
You know, it
would never be. You could never be safe.
You brought up a moment ago about Apple. There is a story up right now on the antimedia.org after swearing it would, and the FBI would help unlock other Apple devices. It's funny how that all worked out, huh?
Right.
Yeah, they're now they've you know reached out to Apple, and you know that they haven't figured out how to do it. Well, now they finally figured out how to do it. I guess by watching the YouTube video that's been up for quite some time about how to break into an iPhone. And
my understanding, actually, you may have been joking with that. You guys may know this already, but and McAfee was asked about this, but apparently it was an Israeli an Israeli company who the government had contracted with to actually to purchase some or to have developed the technology to do so. But you know, this is not the first time. You know, and this is actually, I was a little bit surprised when this first came out that Apple was now standing up for this, because you know, maybe folks have a short memory, but I remember for the past few years that was a big complaint about the government being able to have access to Apple's to your phone through Apple. You know, and so I was really surprised that Apple was now taking a stand, acting as if this had never come up before, that this was whole new territory. And apparently most of the up until the past year, I think I want to say a year and a half, last 2 years, all their stuff was not encrypted. You know, none of their stuff was really, your safety was not there like they're claiming to be defending it at this point.
Yeah, it was well wide open at that point. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and Apple's got they've actually got a lot of cell phones that are actually waiting in line. I was actually listening to a piece from a guy that works at Apple, and he explained that the FBI supposedly has tons of phones that they are just waiting that if the FBI could get this to go ahead, they've got a ton of phones that they're waiting just to crack open. So who knows? We'll see it coming, but I'm glad to know that Apple at least stood up and took a stand.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, is it just me? Maybe it's me. Can they not see everything you're already doing? I mean, why are we having this conversation like they need permission or they need Apple to do it because we can't figure it out?
Well, it begs the question, too.
I mean, give me a break. That's a joke.
It begs the question, too. I mean, if that was... Okay, let's just argue for a second. Okay, well, maybe that wasn't the case, that the government can always unlock the iPhone, as Kevin had just mentioned a moment ago. Well, then why? What is this, a PR stunt by Apple or something? I mean, what is this?
I don't know. I don't know what it's about. But when they finally cracked the phone, right? How'd they do that? Did they have like this team that was working, round the clock, just sitting there over a table, just like, we're going to get it. We're going to figure it out. They'd have some, guys working around the truck, drinking beer, trying to figure it out. Did they give it to their, nephew who's really good at computers?
Well, I mean, hey.
How'd they do it?
If we got John McAfee for president coming up in 2016, then the FBI just go over to the White House and throw it on his desk.
Yeah, well, to answer your question, it's an Israeli company that actually that helped them, helped the FBI get into the cell phone. They've been kind of a little bit tight-lipped about that. The name is online. I forget what it actually is. I'm trying to track it down now, but it's in the past day and a half, 2 days, they actually were able to unlock it. McAfee says, and he claims, when he was asked about it a few weeks ago, he claimed that he knew the source before it was actually announced who actually helped them out, but he said he would not say. So there's some technology out there, and that's apparently what they use. So it was only a matter of time. I don't think anybody was really expecting them not to get the information one way or another. I'm just surprised that, like you said, I'm really surprised that they made this so public. But on the other hand, I'm not. I do think it was obviously maybe not on Apple's part. Although I wouldn't say they didn't maybe work to their advantage. I know a lot of people that stood up and said, and even including myself, said, hey, maybe I'd reconsider buying another iPhone based off of their policy and sending it up to the FBI.
It's definitely great PR.
Yeah.
It was great. And of course, the FBI did what they did.
Apple is on the hearts and minds of everybody right now. And it's
and they both get a good, because look at the FBI. We're keeping everybody safe. We've got to have this information.
And then Apple makes the scrappy, we're going to take a stand against the government.
Yeah, it helps everybody.
Yeah,
we're strong and tough, and no, we're tough.
Apple is very, very edgy and individual-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going to stick it to the man. Yeah, but even though they've had a way in the whole time. Well, it's funny how all that works out.
Well, at the same time, I think, Shannon, you asked a minute ago about why would they be doing this? This is all a PR stunt. I think it's a little bit more than that. When we talk about whether or not the FBI has always been able to do this, you've got so many different layers of so-called spying, from the NSA to the FBI to the local police that are using more advanced tools. So you've got different entities doing this stuff, and a lot of times, from my understanding, a lot of this stuff had to have, oftentimes, ideally, a judge or somebody sign off on a lot of this stuff. I think more or less what they were trying to do, obviously, is considering that Android owns so much more, from my understanding, of Apple, of the share of the market. If they could break the case with Apple, they'd have the case to go after. They basically would get it with Android too. And so now, instead of having to go through the other little jumps and hoops to go through a phone, once they've got the master key to it, that probably saves a lot of time and effort, and of course opens up the doors to a lot more of our privacy being able to be witnessed by a lot more people in the government. You can only imagine how many people probably actually work for the government that could potentially have access to that data for whatever reason they would like. Even spammers and scammers and all sorts of foreign hijackers. That doesn't sound like the FBI has our security in mind whatsoever.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. There's a story up right now.
They just want to sell you some T-shirts.
Yeah, just some T-shirts and a little freedom, man. Don't worry about that. We're keeping you
That's
free.
it.
We're keeping you safe. Well, there's a story up right now on antimedia.org. It's actually an op-ed piece by our beloved Ron Paul, who we've spoke about in pretty glowing terms on the show. I think everybody here is, Ron Paul's a pretty cool dude. Well, he is bringing up the fact that there is a European Patriot Act that is being developed right now, and the fact that it's just simply not going to keep Europeans safe, just like they think it will. And I think it's a lot of the reasons that we just listed right here, because that's what we've seen in our own United States Patriot Act, which is now the Freedom Act, and we've I think expounded on how we feel about the act of freedom by our government.
I hate to agree with a lot of these Republican politicians, but these gun control laws do play a factor. These mass shootings happen in places, where there's strict gun laws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where they can go in and they can go ahead and attack at will, knowing that all of their targets are going to be unarmed, that nobody's going to respond in the
but what
aggressive in an aggressive manner, because there's no way to it.
What the gun laws are, though, is just one facet of the police state. It's just one wall, but there's lots of pieces that build the entire wall. And that's
definitely, if they outlaw, if they forced everybody to turn in their firearms tomorrow, obviously that wouldn't be happening. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, everybody did so, we all had our firearms. Let's say they removed every restriction on firearms. The police state's still here. It's not going, it's not going anywhere. You're absolutely right. The firearms is such really a small part of it. Versus, what the police state's cramping down on. I can think of a lot more things that have been suppressed than my guns. That's not to say they haven't been, but definitely, the state police, the police state is growing, and Anti-Media has been churning out some great articles trying to keep everybody up to date on it. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. We've got a lot of great writers here. You can check out at www.theantimedia.org, and you can always listen to us here on Tuesdays and Thursdays at ucy.tv/TAMR. We are a 2-hour show now.
Yes, awesome,
and we're on at 10 o'clock Eastern.
9 o'clock Central for you folks here in Alabama.
Yes. There it is. For Chicago.
Is our current governor, is he going to go to jail?
I don't know. I don't care.
I doubt he's going to go to jail. I think he will be impeached. We better see that.
Yeah, he doesn't have any friends right now.
Well, and there's also, it's just, the story's just getting more convoluted and just yucky. We've come to find out that our governor, and for those of you who don't know who are just tuning in, we're broadcasting from Birmingham, Alabama, which is the largest city in Alabama. And currently our governor is in a very, very public, it's kind of gone a little viral and a little national.
A little Bill Clinton-ish.
Yeah, very Bill Clinton-ish. Apparently it has to do with a advisor who is not a state-funded entity. She is actually paid for by PAC money. And are those tornado sirens? Ooh, we have
probably. We're surrounded by
we have some nasty weather in the area at the moment.
Going on right now.
So if we have to scream, and you hear a lot of screaming and hollering and stuff going on. That's what it is. We're going to die. We're going to die tonight. I told you this is going to be our last show.
Nobody's going to die. Everybody's going to
protect me. Let's build a wall. Let's build a wall around the studio so we don't get hit by a tornado.
If we would have just built a wall, this tornado siren wouldn't be having to listen.
It wouldn't have anything to do with us. We could just go back to watching Fox.
Oh, that's probably...
Hey, Shannon, I think you raised that question whether or not Bentley was going to jail, and I said that he'd be impeached. I don't know if you saw, but ironically on CNN, I don't know if major mainstream media is covering this, but CNN just had an interview a little while ago with his senior campaign, his senior aide in his office, Bentley's office, and he actually just quit, just completely got up and said, "Screw it, I'm through," because Bentley refuses to acknowledge that he had the affair or refuses to step down and continues his whole story by not having an affair. So we're fixing to see some action here. But can you imagine? You know who we're going to get if old buddy gets out of there?
Oh, I shuddered.
You know who gets in that spot? The lady with the most southernest drawl in the state of Alabama, Miss Kay Ivey. So if Alabama's not been in the news lately,
what a climb she's had.
Oh man. Well, we look forward to hearing. We'll definitely, the Alabama accent is going to be on every television show here shortly. Or what most people
wrong with the Alabama accent now? Come on now, roll tide.
No. That's why I say what she's going to feed that perception that everybody in Alabama speaks with a strong 1800s-ish Southern drawl. You know, you've heard this lady. She sounds like she's straight out of the woods. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but she definitely has. She's literally one of the characters in Forrest Gump. There's one there that speaks exactly like her. But our state's definitely getting shook up, and this is exactly, it goes to show you, it doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter what they tell you, how clean. This guy rode into office supposedly as a kind of backwoods, good-hearted Christian doctor.
Outsider too. He was
Right.
He was outside the current political structure here. Kind of relative newcomer to the
Right.
kind of like
Had a lot of evangelical support, Christian support, and
yeah, kind of like another
several
fellow
times.
that's running for president, who I'm not going to name right now. And Mr. Gibson's under a moratorium for the moment. Daddy.
Oh, daddy.
Oh,
We've still have not seen much about that. I'm starting to think it was all BS. What do you think, man?
I tell you what,
that was close.
One thing, speaking of daddy and the whole PCism and say whatever you want, and we were talking about giving over security for, giving over your freedom for security and the police state. That's another aspect of it that we see coming up, I believe, through the younger generation. This whole, you can't hurt my feelings, oh, please give me safe space. Right now, hopefully, there's a lot of people that believe it's going to be beat down, it's going to go away, and this is the pinnacle of that type of thinking. But there's a whole nother side to it, and I think maybe you see Trump as a reaction to that, possibly. But at the same time, the fear is there. I personally believe that this younger generation, look, it's going to spread, and there's just going to be more of them and more of them and more of them until they finally get into power.
It's hard to argue with that. Very hard to argue.
So, I don't know which it is. Is this the end or the beginning?
Well, there's going to, I think it's hard to argue. There's not going to be more terrorism. There's always going to be an excuse, and I'd say a growing excuse for the state to grow. Whatever
That's it,
the source
if you're shutting down free speech, if you're saying, oh, you can't say this certain word, you can't say this certain thing, that's a trigger word. Oh, you can't be within a certain zone. Oh, you looked at me the wrong way. That's rape.
Oh, I can't read this chalk word written on a handrail at a school.
How dare you violate me that way?
I just
can't
don't feel
believe
safe
that.
here. I need to get with my lawyer and discuss my options.
Well, at least you guys, I say you guys in jest. Hopefully, to all those that are so big that their security is their first word out of their mouth when they talk about the need to override every right that society constantly tries to exercise. I don't know if you guys saw, but Mr. Trump was asked to name 3 things that he thought the federal government was responsible for, and what was the most important thing that he saw as his role. And he explained, before we get to health care, it was security, security, security.
The education part really got me because, yes, I do believe that we do need to be educated, but I don't think that, and very early on, from what I remember, that there was discussion about eliminating the Department of Education. Which,
I know.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, they played lip service.
It's about education, government funded, government supplied, government's, centralized education.
I want to ask a question, Kevin. Shannon brought up a story earlier by Ron Paul. Ron Paul, I don't know if he was ever asked a question. I'm sure he was multiple times. What the most important thing is, I guarantee you it wouldn't be security. I would assume liberty, freedom, preserving freedom, the Constitution. I would assume something along those guidelines would have been his answer. Definitely not.
Correct.
Security. I can't, unfortunately, Trump's not the only one that's going to say that. But
no, he's not. But I think it was interesting that, I don't know for those that didn't catch it, when he actually realized that he couldn't keep repeating security, once a couple of hand claps that kind of gone and died down after the third or fourth time he said security. I think the next word out of his mouth was health care. I don't know if you guys saw that. But he insisted that health care, that the federal, and to his credit, Anderson Cooper actually questioned him about this, is that the federal government's role. I guess he realized apparently after he'd said it 3 or 4 times that he needed to figure out a way to work the private market in there, so he paid lip service to that. But it just goes to show you, and if it wasn't him, and you're completely right, if it wasn't him, and I won't say Cruz, I think would be a little bit less inclined to do so, but they're all going to make the claim that security, and I'm not going to disagree with this, that security is definitely, what constitutionally, that's what the government is responsible for, but security, the way the state labels it, and security that us freedom and liberty-loving individuals label it, of course, is 2 different things. So there goes the rub. But, yeah, I completely agree that all of these guys running for office are going to get up there and basically say the same thing, and they're going to all advance the same similar big state agenda.
And the terrifying thing is, and I think the more important thing, is not any certain politician, is that it's the culture. And it's this culture of fear that's in everyday life. And sadly, how do you usher in a police state? Is through fear. I hate to always keep harping on this, topic of fear, but that is what
and to reinforce that fear too,
right. I'm not saying that to be, this negative downer fear. I'm saying that to, look, that's what they're doing. This is their tool they're using. They're using fear as a tool. Be awake to this. Mm-hmm. Understand that this is to manipulate you into believing that security is the most important thing to believe in. Security. We told you as a child in elementary school
security
that everything is about liberty and freedom. Security. And it's great, and it's wonderful, and it's the most important, greatest nation that's ever been, ever in the history of the world. Security. We are number 1.
Security.
We win all the gold medals. We have Hulk Hogan. Security. We have the World Series.
Security.
We don't have the United States Baseball World Series.
Security.
I didn't know, maybe there's a team in Cuba that can beat, a team in Milwaukee. I don't know. Nope. World. NBA World Champions.
Healthcare.
Healthcare.
I completely agree with that, and I get exactly what you're saying. But I'm reminded by somebody I had an interesting conversation with that pointed out that when people say, or when they use the statement, or especially in the past where we used to hear a lot more about America's number 1, when you think about all the people, the hate that the U.S. receives from others, which is, technically targeted really correctly at the federal government, not the people. You still have, there's more people willing to get on a boat and die to get here to this country than a lot of other countries. I won't say a lot of them, but around, unless, you're not going to get here from the other side of the world, but there's people that come all the way here. As much of a police state as we have, people still come here for what little bit of freedom we have. And I think that's usually the angle we're going at it. But it is quickly becoming a fading dream.
It is. And I tell you what, I think is a large part of the problem, and this is at least a theory of the problem, is one reason you're seeing people from other parts of the world that grew up in other countries that come over here versus somebody that was raised in the United States, and the completely different perceptions is the indoctrination as a child. We are taught liberty, you're the greatest, and then you're taught when you're older, guess what? Because you're number one, everybody hates you. So you have to be scared and terrified. So this is what we need to do. And that's how they control you.
And tame down that liberty talk, youngin'. Don't you know we got to be, the laws are for your safety?
That's it. That was just something we told you as a child. Now, because you're number one, they're coming to get you. And people allow that to control, they allow that emotion to control them. And you see politicians rise that are just promoting fear. And you see it more and more and more. I think, the old joke about politicians, well, they're all liars. Well, they are all liars. But I think the one thing all politicians really have in common is they promote fear. They're fear mongers. Every single one of them.
And Trump, chief among them. Now Hillary
is he any different than anybody else?
Yeah, Hillary's had a lot of that too.
Crass about it. He's a lot more crass about it.
Daddy.
And he's a lot more willing to step over some lines.
Every line.
He'll say something.
He's a line stepper. He is a habitual line stepper.
But a lot of it's just childishness, and it has nothing to do with promoting fear.
He started it.
Oh, sure.
Let me interject here, and I'm not defending Trump whatsoever, but I will say this, after some really, I laugh because I've had this, how you have those political conversations with the spouse that may or may not agree with you on such issues. After some deep looking into it, man, I'm telling you, I really think, I hate to say this, but I think Trump would probably, when we talk about the concern for other countries hating Americans, people are so quick to want to go to war because a bunch of people in Iran are screaming death to America, as if that's going to set off the bomb that nukes us all. And I believe seriously that there's a very strong likelihood, and I'm not one to normally say this because I know how the state tends to work, welfare, warfare, regardless of who's in office, but I think Trump is probably the one less likely to get us involved in more overseas conflict, which I think is the root of why other people have issues when they say America. It's obviously, we've made this point, and I think the anti-media has done a great job of not trying to push this idea, but allowing it to be evident that when people say they hate the United States, it's not the people, it's the federal government, the actions of the federal government, and I think it needs to be a strong division. That we, the people, are not we, the government.
I think the sad part, I think you just said something that is terrifying. For me, if you watch documentaries with people in Iran or Iraq or the people I know that have been over there and fought and spoken to people, you don't see, it's not we hate Americans. It's we hate the U.S. government. We don't hate the people of the United States. We know they're not doing this. We know it's their government. The flip side of that in the United States is not, I can't believe what their terrible governments, to their people. That's how they excuse it. They say, "Oh, they're doing this to their people, so we need to
liberate them.
We
Freedom.
need to liberate them.
Freedom.
We can't let this horrible sin take place. We have to go in there and fix this."
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what every communist country, for the first half of the 1900s, when we were waging, and a little bit later when we were still fighting communism, that was one of the big things that communist countries would go in and say, is that we're, of course, doing this to defend the human rights of the people being oppressed by their Borghese, leaders. And now the U.S. has turned around and using that as an excuse to overthrow country after country after country. And not that it works out in our benefit at the same time. I can see people idiotly saying, that's idiotly, how about that for a word? I can see people arguing and making the case that if the U.S. benefited from such overthrows, but there's no benefit whatsoever. The U.S. does not benefit one bit from overthrowing Iraq, from getting Saddam out of there, and now to getting Assad out of Syria. The U.S. gets nothing out of that. The U.S. government does not. U.S. people do not. But still.
Well, there's a story right now up on the antimedia.org. They came to an agreement.
I saw that. That's kind of the reason I brought that up.
Yeah, he's out 85. He's gone. That's the deal. We're supposedly going to have this. Hold on one second. We've got the.
I think this is from what we're hearing from John Kerry, and I think the Chinese state-run media. From my understanding, I would be curious. I'd be curious where this goes here in the next few days, because it kind of came out of nowhere. We knew this had been being talked about and pushed for, but it seems like the talk was kind of turned down a few months ago when the U.S. said that their goal was no longer to see Assad go.
Well, we know. I don't think that's ever been just because.
Not the goal.
Yeah, I think that's been the goal for
relatively blatant. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, certainly. And that answers the question, the people always have, is why, what's the deal with ISIS, and why is the U.S. helping them, and why are we not defeating? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the main. There's 1,000 other benefits that change hands between that going on. But
here's the thing:
Assad's in office, and he needs to go, and ISIS is the only one that can do that, and that's why the U.S., in my opinion, is not going after ISIS as they should.
Oh, I think ISIS is being used as a tool. I think they're going to be probably used as a tool to invade Iran eventually, because I think they'll be able to say, okay, well, we're in Syria now, so it's okay. Oh, those bad guys, they went in Iran.
Oh yeah, and they'll have nukes.
Oh yeah, they'll have nukes. ISIS has nukes.
Well, and Hezbollah, Iran's Hezbollah is really the one that one of the main groups on the ground that's working with the Russians to stop a lot of ISIS's gains. Talking about a world of disarray between various friends and foes. Everybody seems to be on. And then you go look at Yemen on the other side of the country, other side of the world, and you've got, the other side of the world, a great distance away, and then you've got those alliances completely shift. And that's one thing. We have heard so much about the Middle East, which we don't hear a lot about it on TV as much as we do anymore, as we did at one time. But Yemen, I don't remember the last time I saw actually anything about Yemen on American television, American news break. Have you guys seen anything about Yemen? I know the U.S. is not taking the main.
A ton of stuff, and when I do, it's usually just to laugh at the election. I'm not really watching any of those.
You're not watching for cultural enrichment?
No, I'm not watching for information. I think I'm watching for the other reasons people watch the Kardashians or something.
Well, it's
I
fun.
just want to watch, watch them fight.
It's funny you bring up Yemen, Kevin, because there is a story up on antimedia.org that a child is killed or maimed every 4 hours in Yemen.
I believe it completely.
Hours.
And it's from a Saudi-led coalition, which includes about 5 or 6 other nations, the United Arab Emirates and other nations in the Arab Peninsula. but mostly Saudi Arabia. Let's not kid ourselves. Who are getting all their weapons from the United States, by the way. All their bombs, United States.
63 health facilities were attacked that the UN has verified, and basic services and infrastructure in Yemen are on the verge of total collapse.
Oh, yeah, and the Doctors Without Borders story that happened back a few months ago, where the U.S. had bombed the Doctors Without Borders in Afghanistan, which was terrible, terrible, terrible. That happens all the time in Yemen, all the time. Saudi Arabia does it. Like, sorry, I guess. Whatever. Don't care.
Which raises, and that's, it's not because people know this, that they're aware of really the antics of Saudi Arabia, but I think it really, I hate to go back to the man, the daddy, as Shannon likes to refer to him as, but Daddy mentioned something about, stop buying oil, and I think it's, of course, just lip service, but I think it got some more people on board that made at least people turn around and say, hey, I don't care about a lot of his policies. This makes sense when he was saying that Saudi Arabia needed to actually start fighting ISIS, otherwise we were going to cease trading with oil, buying from oil. Now, we know good and well that's not going to happen at all, but at least somebody was bringing attention to what was going on, at least in that respect, to ISIS's growing, and Saudi Arabia's in the back channels supplying them. But then it raises more questions when we remember that, Shannon, I think you were pointing out not too long ago that Trump had mentioned about the 9/11 and about the Saudi Arabian connection, and Saudi being blamed for that. Do you think, is there any possibility we're going to see a little bit of Saudi pushback if we were to go into a Trump administration? Is that a good thing?
No, I don't think
there's
we would.
There's too much money there, and I'm sure that he'll be
he'll broker a deal.
He's a deal maker.
Yeah, he was with the RNC today. You know what that means?
That's not even a tough
deal maker.
Yeah.
But and it wasn't it reminds me, it's one of the Saudi princes over there is really the one that fired back. I don't know if you guys saw, but when he started first talking about banning people from Muslim countries, one of the Saudi kings over there, Saudi princes, reminded him that he had donated X amount of money to his campaign and to his personal business.
Oh, yeah, I believe I'm correct in saying that is the same guy who's like the number 2 stockholder
in Fox.
Yeah, in Fox.
Yeah,
but at the same time, though, y'all have to remember Trump is he's the only one funding this campaign. He's not accepting any money.
Yeah. You don't need your money.
Yeah, there's that.
Who's got the money?
Well, is Saudi? I hate to show my ignorance, but I don't hear him much. When I do hear him talk about Saudi-led coalition, I don't hear NATO mentioned very much. That was one other thing, and I was surprised that Donald Trump has come out again and spoke about, which I think a couple of our listeners may be on board with. I know I am personally. But
I am too. It's one of those times. It's one of those things Donald Trump says. You're just like, well, okay, well, fair enough.
Oh, yeah. Well, I watched the town hall with him last night. I don't know if you guys caught it. And of all the speaking engagements I've seen him at and listened to him at, this was probably the worst one I think he's done yet. But that was one question. If there's nothing that I think Donald Trump actually believes, it was what he said about NATO last night and the money that we spend fronting NATO, the money that the U.S., the money that's stolen from the taxpayer. You're, off the sweat of your labor to go to another country, and not to, under the guise of security for them. We talked about security earlier for the United States, but we're supposedly paying for the security of other countries, and really what we're doing is lining the pockets of a lot of contractors and a rich elite over in those countries. And so I'm glad, even if Donald Trump didn't get to be president, I'm glad at least he brought that discussion up, and that seemed to be the one thing, if nothing else, that he actually felt like he knew what he was talking about, or at least he was sure of that position. So if nothing more, I would really like to see some people take up the mantle and make that argument. We don't see that very often, and somebody needs to be making it.
Well, I don't know. It kind of goes back to the question of which Trump are we going to get when he gets in office. Everybody has so many different hopes for what Donald Trump could become. I mean, at least with Hillary Clinton, we know exactly what we're going to get. More of exactly the same, way more of exactly the same. And with Trump, there's that. I mean, are we going to get a team player GOP yes man? Are we going to get some wild maverick that's actually going to bring up issues like this and set about some real change? Are we going to see idiocracy? I mean, what? I mean, which Trump are we going to get?
Well, I don't
Which
claim
dad
to
is
be
it?
Really believe? Do you really think that you're going to see some like freedom fighter guy going after the Federal Reserve and doing all these great things? And
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think that one bit.
Oh, candy in that
do you
van.
really think that's going to happen?
Yeah.
No, of course not. You know, we brought this up before when he named Richard Haas as
I don't know how
the president. No, we're going to see a lot of the same thing.
Yeah. I don't. And first off, again, he had his meeting with the RNC today. Okay, deals
Meaning-
are done.
Well, that was going to happen at some point, anyways. I mean, that has to happen.
Be done. And look, again, I hate to sound, Mr. Aliens conspiracy guy here, but let's not joke with ourselves and say that if he's really completely anti-establishment, against the system, oh, this guy. Yeah, guess what? The last guy like that was Ronald Reagan. And that's, first off, what happened to Ronald Reagan? He got shot. He didn't die.
About it. Yeah, because
He didn't die.
Because he's an American hero.
But a lot of those policies, he did have a policy against Federal Reserve. That went away.
Yeah.
Went away.
Well, and you talk about him being supposedly the outsider coming in. There's a interesting story about him being stiffed, not given very much attention from the Rockefeller family, and I forget the other family that they were trying to get some influence and get some backing from. And he was a little perturbed that he did not have some of the so-called establishment connections that he had hoped for as soon as he got in, which of course those came to him. But I think you're right. I don't expect Donald Trump to suddenly to turn around and make drastic changes. And I think you're right too that he's not. And I think more people will be willing to. And not that it even would matter. I don't think people would even matter if they found out tomorrow that Donald Trump was establishment. Because unfortunately, people are listening to what he's saying when he's saying it.
It's all about emotion. Yeah, they don't care.
It does not matter. But I will.
He got him hooked.
The whole us versus them mentality,
I think he could.
Yeah.
He can say anything.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, the risk for someone like defending him, that's one thing I think that, we asked about which Donald we're going to get. I think Donald Trump is going to move he's going to move to the center. But if Donald Trump is Donald Trump, who cares about his personal image and how he's going to be looked about, I think he'll definitely make sure nobody talks about his hands. I think that'll be the first order of the day, is to make sure he outlaws or dissuades any discussion about his
Beautiful hands.
Beautiful hands. But seriously, I mean, can you imagine? This guy cares about his record. I think he genuinely, if he's a businessman he claims, I think he'll try to cut budgets and save some money. And if he does, what NATO, all that money, who is not sympathetic? If he only looked at the warfare state and slashed some of it back as hard as it would be, he'd be doing more than any other president has in a long time in this country.
Go ahead and explain something real quick about Trump. And this needs to be, in my mind, the period on Trump. Now I will say, the next crazy thing happened, I'm going to be the first person screaming about it, because it's probably going to be hilarious, and it's going to be Jerry moment.
Daddy.
But
Daddy's funny.
the reason that there's NATO, that you're right, Kevin. I agree. That's a good thing for us to pull back from that. The reason there's this hint of a Federal Reserve, the reason there's this Iraq. He's right about this. Everybody has a policy they agree with him on. The reason why everybody has something that they look to Donald Trump and go, well, that thing's good. That other thing is just crazy, but that's a good thing, is because he says everything.
Yeah.
He covers everything. says it all, throws everything out there. So he has said every answer you can give on a subject.
He has. He's covered the gamut.
He has covered everything. And I think the motive behind that is to see, okay, what's popular, what sells. And I really do. I know I always joke about it and talk about it with wrestling. I'm telling you, I really believe there is a correlation between politics, especially what Donald Trump is doing, and what Vince McMahon does. I'm not saying that to be funny. I really think there is a correlation.
Vince McMahon needs to be on his cabinet.
The theater is so similar.
Mm-hmm.
And you can gauge public reaction in this contained environment and see
in a 24-hour news cycle, and you get instant feedback. Look how quickly he changed his position.
That's it. How fast he can change a position. And when he hears...
Sometimes in mid-sentence.
Sometimes in mid-sentence. And when he hears the crowd start roaring over here, he goes with this. And
right.
This is now what he believes, because that's the side... That's the character they like. That's the position they like. So that's what he's going to do.
I'm going to put a black cape.
And like you said already just a moment ago, you made the point 2 or 3 times that it's probably a position that he's been in favor of once before. You know, so and of course, again, so when he mentions it this time, he'll always be able to go back and point out that he's always, one thing he's always felt so sure about is this thing and this thing and this thing. He's a masterful tactician. This guy, I'm telling you, whatever happens, this guy will go down in history. People will look back. If we still have any kind of semblance of a republic and still have a president called by such a title in 100 years, people will look back at this campaign and say, here's the playbook. We've got it. Follow it.
Oh, I'm going to tell you something. I think we are watching. I always said, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. Again, I couldn't stand Bill Clinton as a leader, president, person, anything.
With the thumb, though.
But the
I
politician,
voted for him in kindergarten because Nickelodeon. He won the Nickelodeon.
the politician Bill Clinton was the greatest politician I personally, in my lifetime, witnessed. There may have been others that were better, I don't know, but that I saw was Bill Clinton. I was like, man. And you,
how old are you, Scotty? Mr. Gibson?
33.
There you go. I'm 32. It's hard to, other than, what sticks out in your mind about Clinton when you hear people complain about Clinton? It's always his sexual escapades. But when you get past that,
I think he was a scumbag. I think his wife is a much bigger scumbag.
Agreed.
I think, a lot of the problems with the drug war we're seeing, people locked up with the Clintons, and let's not pretend about forget all about all the people that Bill bombed. It was bad enough for when George W. Bush ran, said, hey, guess what? This guy's policing the world. We need to stop doing this. So, Clinton had his own sins that Bush kind of covered up by much bigger ones.
Oh, yeah. They're both bonesmen anyway, so they could be too far, probably not too far from their influences.
And that we're talking about his wife becoming president. Hooray.
Hooray. Yay.
I'll be honest with you. I think we're getting closer and closer. I'm hearing more people are seeing more chatter from Bernie, potential Clinton voters that are saying, look, if she's going down by the FBI, at the hands of the FBI, we want to know. And I know that all of us are skeptical. We know we don't see her going in handcuffs whatsoever.
Oh, no.
Man, did you see that woman put her finger in that lady's face? Woo!
Missed that one. But the FBI's got 100. This is out of Judge Napolitano's mouth, that they've got 147 FBI agents working on her case. When you've got that many people working on a case, or the way the FBI does, they usually have their case made before they come and get you. I think times are going to get interesting. At one time I knew Hillary Clinton was going to be president, and I think the chance of her being nominated, I think are growing less and less by the day, and I think Bernie's are coming up and up and up. So it'll be interesting to see how many people will, even Democrats, even the people that that are scared of Bernie, that don't necessarily, that have voted blue dogs, so-called blue dogs, I think they're going to come over here to the Republican side. It's going to get interesting, but I don't see Clinton lasting. I think she will eventually be forced to step down out of the limelight.
Mm-hmm.
You really believe?
I don't know, man.
You really believe that they're going to give the ball to Bernie?
That woman is.
They may
slippery.
have to.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. They may have to.
I think you really don't think they can prop this up long enough.
They probably could, but what if she's their candidate and turn around, and if there's even a chance that the FBI is going to go after her, or even get into it more, even have a big public display of it. We don't, we're only seeing this really from the more right-wing stations really concerned and talking about this. But if she gets to be the Democratic nominee, knowing and the Democratic elite know that there's a chance that she is going to be brought out into the limelight and that people are going to distrust her even more, I'm not so sure that's a risk that the elite of the DNC are willing to do. They'll basically be handing it over to the people that were so. There's a lot of Democrats that have been lifelong Hillary Clinton supporters that have really, been really pissed off at her lying and have noticed that she's completely lying. And so a lot of people, I think, and it won't be a large amount, but I think they're going to bring over some Democratic voters that are afraid that they're going to lose if Hillary. I think she's bad blood, man. She's not. She's that a-hole you don't want to hang around with because you don't want to see people hanging around, but you might be talking to them. It might be a buddy of yours, but
she's
you can't stand to be seen in
Suge Knight of
public.
American politics as well.
You can have the same conversation about all of them. And that's the thing. I watch it for the theater. It's funny. You could have the exact same conversation about every single one of them, about how terrible they are, about what terrible thing they're going to do, about what terrible thing they've already done. And nothing's happened to them.
No.
Nor will ever. And they stand in front of the American people and just lie to your face. And I tell you what, we've got mutual feelings for each other, and that's the tonight's song. We're doing a new segment now where we play an independent artist. And tonight's band we are featuring is a band from back in the day, kind of scattered around, but originally from Birmingham, Alabama, right here. The band is called Bank. The song is Mutual Feelings.
Wow, I hadn't heard this in a minute, yeah.
Your eyes, they shine tonight as if there's something inside. But now I'm not so sure if that's what I want to find. I've waited far too long, and I think you have as well. And now it's time to share just exactly how we lately felt. 'Cause, well, I know, and you know that what we had is through. And now I'm not so sure of how I feel for you. 'Cause in your eyes you feel it too. And things won't be that different, they just won't be the same. 'Cause I'll still see you around and you'll still know my name. I'm sure we'll keep in touch if there's one thing I know. So let's not say goodbye, just to turn around say hello, 'cause, well, I know, and you know that what we had is through. And now I'm not so sure of how I feel for you. 'Cause in your eyes you feel it too.
And welcome to the second hour of Anti-Media Radio. I'm your host, SM Gibson, in the studio with Shannon and Kevin. We have been talking about Americans, and not really just Americans, but people all over the world, and this feeling of we need you to take care of us. Please keep us safe. And they've generated this culture of fear and terrorism, and you need to be scared, and they're coming to get you. And to allow us to keep you safe, you have to give us access to everything. You have to allow us to police your life.
Mother America, wrap your walls around us.
I think it's as simple as that. And you know, we see it every day. I think it's easier to control, you know, all the money does go to the top. That's one thing one of these politicians says. You know, that's true. Unfortunately, you know, I feel like a lot of what I'm saying is contradictory to what I do at Anti-Media. Because a lot of what I do is talk about negative things happening in the world. But at the same time, I'm not telling people to be afraid. I don't think people need to be afraid with the information that's being presented to them. You get that line from politicians. I know you do, that, you know, we're not saying this for you to be scared. We're just saying this because they're going to come get you.
Terror.
And you need to go ahead and hand over your rights.
Freedom. For freedom. Slavery is freedom. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's about the size of it.
Sadly. And that's the world we're living in. And people don't care. They're okay with handing over their rights to a large government and to corporations, and they're okay with we're at tax time right now. They're okay with their money going to a huge, overinflated government that spends money on wars overseas, spends money on protecting other nations, spends money killing people all over the world on horrible, evil things. And we're just like, whatever. Yeah, and the thing that's so funny is like, well, we need free college and we need free health care. Now. And how we're going to get it is we're going to tax everybody a lot. Because you got to do your fair share. Mm-hmm. Never addressed is the national security budget. Yeah, that's a term for you, isn't it? National security, or the empire building offense department.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, it really is the empire building. Man, that's terrible. Wow.
The evil empire.
And I hate it. Like, I know people, geez, that's a scary thought.
It is, though. And we've had more than a few
But
people.
you shouldn't be scared of it. You have to operate, I believe, in a spirit of love. And the reason that this information needs to be put out there is not to be scared of it, but to know what you're going against. You should not let it consume your life. You should not live your life for the news in the world or for what's happening in Afghanistan. It's horrible, terrible, terrible, terrible things. But we have to love in our everyday life too.
Amen.
But we can't neglect those others as well. We need to be aware and do what we can to help. And when the time comes, raise our hand and say, hey, we need to do something about this. There's people like that. I'm not saying every single person has to be the person that goes out there and lead the charge, but I want to say this as well. Do not feel like, oh, I can't. That person can't be me. That person can be you. It can be you. It can be anybody. Anybody can spark the revolution. And the revolution doesn't have to be, I hate saying that word, and it's like, oh, this violent revolution of 1776. Buy my iodine.
Well, I think it's high time that liberty-minded folks like ourselves.
No, I don't mean that at all. I mean
instead of all of the infighting that's going on, I think it's time that we band together and realize that we are the majority. The majority that I brought up numerous times on the show about the majority of people that are not standing in line at the polls, that are trying to figure out some other way that we can that we can work this thing.
All it is, listen,
American government is broke beyond all repair.
It's a revolution, of the mind is what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's what I think. I think the revolution's already happened. I think everybody's awake. I think there's people turned on. There's a reason that Donald Trump can say what he even insinuated about 9/11 and didn't get destroyed.
There's no
it.
candy in that van, though.
No. There's not. But it's
there's some seeds that we're planting.
Because that people are just kind of like, yeah, I think that's going on.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that. Like, that's kind of the culture we're in right now. But
you made a good point. He would not have done it. Donald Trump pays attention to the polls. If he didn't get a reaction, if he wasn't going to get a reaction from somebody, he never would have mentioned it.
Oh, and of course he wasn't attacked over it because they didn't want that being, across every headline in the world because they didn't want to go there, especially with that 28 pages, because the American people would be like, what? 28 pages that say what? What again?
Right, yeah.
It was a slightly ham-fisted, a slightly ham-fisted grab at what I'm talking about. What I'm referring to is the non-voting majority right now. And hey, I'm into some of these cool topics like you kids.
Well, no, they want you to think that Trump is the revolution.
No.
Trump is not the revolution.
No, he is corporate America that has gotten tired of putting their own people in place. He is corporate America. And corporate America, or the people that the middle managers of the structure have embraced him all the way down to the lowly construction worker. I mean, it's amazing. It really is. That's a cross section of people that I'm personally seeing in my own life, and have talked to and interacted with that are behind Trump 100% because they all say their variation of the same thing. Well, that Trump, he's saying things that people want to hear.
Because he says everything.
Because he says everything.
That's what we were talking
exactly
about the first
right.
hour.
That is exactly right.
Is he says everything. So there's something that everybody's going to agree with.
So do we deserve Trump?
Look, it's like this
I mean, really, that's the question we need to ask ourselves.
What he's doing.
Do we honestly deserve what the situation we're in right now?
He's got 52 people in a room, okay? He has a deck of cards. He hands out every card. Okay? And then he has his own deck. And he reads off each card. And then at the end he goes, "Did I guess your card?" And then I go, "Yep." And he goes, "See? I did it. I guessed your card."
Took me 30 tries, but
Yep.
I got your card.
Nope, I did it once.
Wow.
He only asked him once.
Wow.
Yeah, because see, he went down the line. No, I don't know how that would work. I'm just kidding myself at this point. I'm just making stuff up.
Yeah. I want to see you do this trick. Get your deck of cards out.
No, I can't do it. I don't know what I'm saying.
I got 5 on it.
I just like rambling. But it's true, though, as far as he's saying everything, and then everybody's like, yeah, you said it. You said my name. You said my card.
Yeah. Well, man, that guy chaps my ass. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, particularly because, I personally feel that we're going to see a real huge division among the left and the right when it finally comes down to the general election. That is, if Hillary is able to survive the quote unquote FBI, all of the hundred and some odd FBI agents up her butt right now and all up in her emails, whichever emails that she wasn't able to delete or get rid of or whatever. Yeah, to me, there's no lesser of two evils here. We have evil A and evil B. That's it. When it comes down to the end of the day. And, and if they prop Sanders up, which, that's everybody's saying, has been saying this whole time during the primaries that, that Bernie's, he's going to gain steam. That Bernie's going to gain steam. And Hillary's done every underhanded thing you can think of. The super delegate vote right off the bat. Well, we're going to start off with, 500-600 delegate votes or whatever. So to give the illusion that I already have a comfortable lead, there's no sense in dealing with this Bernie nonsense. It's going to be Hillary 2016, just like it was destined to be. Her deal with the devil that got her husband in office back in the day is finally going to pay off.
So sick of talking about these politicians.
I know it, man. Let's talk about something else.
Let's talk about other cultures of fear.
Yeah, there's a lot
and
of
address it.
United States and China
hypocritically talk about how people shouldn't be scared while telling stories.
Well, for instance, United States and China
there is nothing
teaming up. They're teaming up. The two superpowers are going to unite.
Don't be scared.
The Super Friends and what was it? The League of Doom. Remember the League of Justice and the League of Doom? Was that the one that Lex Luthor was a member of? Yeah, they're joining together to fight against.
Are you talking about the Legion of Doom and
the Legion of Doom? Thank
Lex Luger?
No, you're talking about something entirely different. I mean, way cooler, but entirely different.
But Lex Luger was not a part of the Legion of Doom.
I thought you said we were going to talk about politics anymore.
Oh my God!
I want to know what cabinet position Vince McMahon's going to get.
Whatever he wants.
You haven't even speculated on that yet, and you're a huge Vince McMahon fan.
Oh, not for something like that. Man,
you think he'll be VP?
No, he'll be a politician. Why are we talking about this, Steve?
About Vince McMahon being VP? I like that's a good solid.
Because both of you jokers love to talk about wrestling. Because if you weren't on the anti-media, you could easily be a wrestling sports broadcaster.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen,
Kevin, you're not pronouncing it right. First off, we're here now,
Wrestling.
but you can say wrestling. Thank you.
Nobody says that. That's for those hillbillies.
Shh. Roll Tide.
Oh, whatever. I want to say this real quick, and I'm going to change the topic, and we're not going to talk politics. We probably will start again in 5 minutes.
Yeah, you
because
will.
we always do. But
Daddy.
yeah, it's going to happen. Okay. Right now, we're not going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about real news. Change the subject.
Yeah.
After I say this. On Sunday, there's going to be a story going up on the antimedia.org. That's going to be a fun story involving Donald Trump and wrestling because it's WrestleMania Sunday.
So, oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So you'll have to watch the page on Sunday.
You're going to get it, aren't you?
And
you're getting the pay-per-view, aren't you?
I've got the network. Of course I'm getting it. And it's going to be fun. You're going to laugh.
Okay.
It's going to be great.
I'm there. I'm all over it.
Sunday. So I want to go ahead and completely flip the switch and talk about something actually very tragic, serious story out of Richmond, Virginia today. Kevin, I don't know if you kept up with this throughout the day, but a Virginia State trooper was shot when a suspect opened fire at a Greyhound bus station Thursday today around like 3-ish, I believe it was. I kept up with it like about 20. I heard about it. They were on it fast, about 20, 30 minutes after. It's irrelevant. But the state trooper was killed, was shot quite a few times. He was.
2 women were also shot. Fortunately, they're not life-threatening.
Yeah, they were just both wounded, and then the shooter's dead as well.
Yeah, that's wild. And apparently, what's even kind of, at this point, of course, they don't know why exactly this happened. But what's kind of odd about this is that they got the officer was actually training with about a dozen other troopers in a training exercise at the bus station when this guy this encounter just quickly turned violent, went apparently from 0 to 100, and ended up unfortunately with lives lost. Of course, at this point, I don't think they understand even exactly why, if there was any kind of altercation between the two, or if it was just all literally just walk up and murder the guy. It's a sad state. It goes back what you mentioned earlier, though. We're going to see some more. This is the kind of stuff that causes the state to grow and to cause more people to beg for more government to keep them safe. So
I want to stress real quick that I'm not saying at all false flag, any of that business garbage at all with it. But I just want to ask a question here. How many times have we had an incident like this and there was a drill going on at the exact right time? Ironically, there was a drill going on.
Yeah. An exercise.
Yeah, I've got the list.
Even the San Bernardino shooting, the same exact room where that happened, they had a drill in the same exact room where that had happened here just a few months ago. So eerie.
Even as big as 9/11, there were drills going on.
The day of, actually.
Mm-hmm. There's always a drill.
Strange how that works.
So, why can't we ask that question? Is that just coincidence? What's the situation?
Well, it reminds me, too, that in the Boston bombing, this is one of the eerie things, because actually one of the people that had this on video recorded, there was a guy that was going to be running, I believe his wife was running in it. He was a gym teacher from Mobile, Alabama, our home state, where we're broadcasting from tonight. He was there and has it on record that in fact, has the videotape where you can actually hear the explosions, and right prior to that, there were actually big signs at the event telling people, don't worry, this is just a drill. This is just a drill, and apparently there were signs of a drill going on just right prior to, including some explosions. And we go back and look in that morning, actually, in the prior day, the local news had reported that there would be several different drills around the state, around the area, where the various bombs were to be set off with bomb experts going in to do various drills that same day. So you're right, it's always, whether or not you want to call a false flag or whether you want to get into it, you don't have to get into it. You can just look. It's an eerie correlation. Correlation isn't equal causation, but it's strange, no doubt.
I want to go ahead and kind of address this too. And I don't know, I'll talk about both sides of the coin here with it, I guess. But you have certain people that, when we talk about this culture of fear, what you just said is used on the flip side. They talk about this conspiracy, and as soon as it goes, as soon as it happens, they go live on air right that second. This has happened, and it's not, here's the information. It's just, this is happening. I don't trust it. And, there's a lot of speculation. A lot of speculation and a lot of generating fear to drive, selling vitamins. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sound terrible. You have to support what you do. I understand that. But, I don't know. People see it other ways. Maybe I'm just the guy.
You're saying this is a vitamin conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Well,
but at the same time, those same people get that message out to a lot of people. So
yes.
Well, it's part of it's just another element of a disinformation campaign that we like to think that North Korea is the only country whose government perpetrates plans to fool their citizenry. But William Casey, who was the CIA director for a number of years, he famously was quoted as saying, "We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false." And that's a CIA director, William Casey, who was CIA director for a number of years. So this is not just a conspiracy theory or just the rantings of a internet radio host. This is legit. This goes on, and we go on. We have to live through this every single day, and it's really. I
heard it on the radio.
Right, heard it on the news.
But yeah, that's the thing. I want to go ahead and say this. Go out, look this stuff up. Google this stuff. Shannon, go ahead.
What?
Kevin.
He's researching candy. It's there too. You can Google it. Google's amazing, man. This day and age.
He's so gonna buy in. You watch before this is over. He's gonna be like, he's gonna make America great.
Well,
he's gonna buy in. He's gonna sell his soul.
Man, I was surprised to see. I don't know if you guys saw, but
getting a lot
they
of
actually
family.
Walter Block. Do you know who Walter Block is? Does that name ring a bell? Mr. Libertarian.
I know the name.
Mm-hmm.
Actually started a organization, Libertarian.
Yeah.
Oh man, can you believe that?
Well, I know that. Yeah. I knew that there were libertarians for Bernie too. There's some sort of
not like they are for Trump.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. This is probably not the argument that most libertarians are using, but the argument, and I think these guys actually had a point. Again, I don't want to defend Donald Trump. I'm still not going to vote for him. And we don't have to kid ourselves. Most of the people on the radio, you guys know, when the election comes, your state, you know which way your state's probably going to lean. And the Electoral College picks the president, not the popular vote, although it tends to go hand in hand. So if you're going to vote, use your vote wisely. Don't feel like you have to vote for Republican or Democrat. There are third-party voters voting going on. In fact, the Libertarian debates will be tomorrow night. First televised debates ever for the Libertarian Party on Fox Business Channel, 9 o'clock Central. Hope you guys didn't mind if I repeated that real quick.
Stop pimping the Libertarian Party. Oh, did you see the meme going around with John McAfee's camp that had Gary Sanders, him, and then Bieber,
Gary Sanders,
Biebs, the Biebs on the far right?
No, did not.
And it said the past, present, and future.
I did. The only thing I can imagine that was because he's trying to, he's either hoping that Mr. Peterson is going to change his ways and become a actual, what most people would consider, or excuse me, what more of the principal libertarians say true, or either he's just trying to play nice, knowing they were going to be on the debate stage together tomorrow, or they were, but to be aired tomorrow night.
And Peterson are working together. Not that anybody cares.
That'd be a hell of a
Not that
team
anybody
there.
cares.
And who's going to be? Who would seriously? Who's going to be who in that situation? Who's going to be the top and who's going to be the bottom? McAfee's not.
McAfee's going to call the show on that, dude.
Yeah,
He's calling that.
Good luck with
Gary
all that.
Johnson's going to get it too.
Yeah, he is. I mean, that's pretty much just about.
They're
lined up.
saying that he's got like 11%. Oh my gosh, what did I say? I said we're not going to talk about it.
Why doesn't Vermin Supreme
Here we go again.
run under the Libertarian ticket?
He was talking about it. Wasn't he, Kevin?
Yeah, Vermin Supreme.
Yeah, well, he made a press statement that he was going to seek the Libertarian nomination.
Yeah, but I never heard anything else after that. It was just kind of...
No, that was all in jest. He said he looked forward to...
I think being a Democrat at one point, too.
Oh, he could glitter bomb Austin Peterson. That would be so awesome.
Wow.
Oh.
I would like to see.
He ain't going to pull that shit on McAfee, though.
That's what I was about to say. That's the one I want to see.
There'll be a gun in his face.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. He would... No.
I'll kill
it would
you,
be
little
fist.
man.
That would just be fist. There would be no gun.
He'll snatch the boot off his head and throw it to the ground. Yeah. Pick it up. I dare you.
HeJohnson, I don't know what he'd be talking about.
Gary Johnson's staying out of that.
Recycling.
He'll stay off in the green room and drink some herbal tea.
I like Gary Johnson.
It won't be her.
I like him.
He's a
He's
cool
okay.
dude.
I'm not going to badmouth Gary Johnson.
He's certainly not Hillary Clinton. That's for sure.
No, he's not. And all of them, hey, I get the argument for people not voting, but these guys, even they know they're not going to be candidates. They know they're not, going to be elected for office. They're using their platforms to spread the message of liberty. And I, for one, feel like we have a duty to some extent to help our fellow man and advance the cause of liberty. And I think they're just picking another platform to do so. So that's, to me personally, that's why I toss my hat in the ring, because they've got a platform that more people are now hearing. We're seeing more people that are frustrated not only with the two-party system, but more people that are actually turned on to liberty and the idea that for the first time. And I think that's a good thing. If nothing more, it shows you the rise of the libertarian movement itself. It shows you that people are tired and pissed off, and they're tired of falling for the same stuff, campaign after campaign after campaign, and seeing all these promises made and failing, all to the detriment of liberty, and all for the excuse of security.
Screw you, libertarians.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm with anybody that is for people having more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm with all these different people. Everybody's like, what are you? What do you classify as? Are you libertarian? Are you an anarchist? Are you a Democrat?
Pony Party.
You're a Republican?
Pony Party.
Are you voting Vermin? Are you going to vote Vermin?
Pony-based economy, yes.
I
think because I've got to thinking about it, and I probably will
Is it a pony?
I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote in the general election, and more than likely, I'm still leaning a couple different ways, but I think more than likely it's going to be a vote for Vermin Supreme.
Oh, you have to.
I can't think of anybody else to waste my vote on,
dude.
So
you have been just praising that guy.
That guy is awesome. What is there not to love about Vermin Supreme?
6 months.
Oh, dude, I love strawberry ice cream, but I wouldn't go to war for him.
No.
You've got to be getting some free like boot liners or something under the table.
No war. The only war that we'll be
No.
fighting at that point is the war with ourselves and who gets the prettier pony. So, I like mine to have a little spot on its nose.
I told you I'm against him because I said the ponies are a hidden tax on Americans.
I don't think so.
No, they are.
No,
They would be.
There's no way.
Feed ain't free.
Well, you still have to feed your pony, and you got to clean up after.
I don't care.
Ponies take big poops, so you got to be there
Like
for
a
that.
broken record.
You got to be there for that. Zombie preparedness. We don't have a good zombie. What's Trump's zombie preparedness plan?
It's probably whatever the federal government has. It wasn't too long ago we saw this. They actually put out a plan. They're infamous for putting out these field manuals for every possible potential situation. They actually put one out, which was, of course, in jest, but it was interesting to read anyways. And it was if we had, in fact, a zombie apocalypse. I imagine Trump would follow along whatever the military instructed him to do to deal with it.
Yeah. See, that's no fun. That's why my vote, I'm going to waste my vote on Bourbon Supreme.
I tell you what, I have decided. Well, I haven't decided anything, actually. But a suggestion idea that I have for the program is this whole not just calling this anti-media politics on Tuesday and Thursday. Might as well. No, we shouldn't.
No, we shouldn't.
We shouldn't do that.
We weren't supposed to talk about Trump at all. In fact,
Just hash
it's like we
hash it out on air.
We made a pact. We made a pact before.
What
the
do
show.
you think, Kevin? No.
It's raining outside. About talking about Trump or?
He's checking out of this conversation.
He's
I'm just
out.
I'll talk about. You brought up Bourbon Supreme.
Way to go, Kevin.
You dropped the ball on that one there, Trump.
I missed something. I don't know. I couldn't hear you guys. I missed something.
Shannon had this bogus idea about how we need to
have a pony-based economy and Bourbon Supreme.
Shannon
2016. Fear the boot.
Shannon had this bogus idea about how we need to change our Tuesday and Thursday program to anti-media politics. And I said that was a stupid idea. And Shannon was just like, nope, it's great.
You ain't throwing me under the bus. That's cool.
So, yeah, that's what happened. What do you think of Shannon's stupid idea?
I tend to agree with Mr. Gibson there.
Yeah.
Boom!
I never got on the whole
Trump dropped out of that one. That's all.
He's
a horse beating the hell out of too many times.
And I didn't use fear.
At what point during the first debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, will Hillary Clinton just finally look at him with that, when she gets that really pissed off look on her face and just like dump the podium over and just run after him and try to strangle him with her hands? I think that'll happen. I mean, they're friends. Friends do that from time to time. That would be That would be so freaking awesome.
Definitely.
Duke it out. And of course he can't hit her because then suddenly then he's hitting a woman.
Just elbow her. No, he didn't hit her. She ran into his fist.
Man.
I wonder how many women that Trump's hit over the years.
Bet money if you could still hit women that he would have hit Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz by now.
Little Marco wanted to pop him one, but he would have got his ass whipped.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did you see that stunner? I mean, Donald Trump took a stunner by Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that happened.
Let's just turn
And he survived.
our show into...
Hey, you were the one that started the whole wrestling bit, Vince McMahon for VP.
Let's just turn... No, because they suggest... I told you you're going to do it. You're going to do it. They suggest you want Fuhrer Trump to win. Anyways, yeah, let's just turn the show into politics and wrestling.
Politics and wrestling with S.M. Gibson. Yeah, I like
Because this is where you always steer the conversation, Shannon. And I'm just like, no. Yeah. I don't want to go here. And I try to stop it. And you just run me over.
Yeah, I know it.
Helpless. I'm a
I'm
helpless
a bad
host.
influence.
I'm a helpless host. I try to direct with positive information. I'm a positive, uplifting person with solutions for the world.
All right, well, give us a solution. I've already given us one. We can vote Berman Supreme in and all get ponies.
You see what I mean?
So much fun playing with your pony.
Ain't free, man. Feed ain't free.
That ain't. You gotta do it's. But then again, you feed it. I mean, it's a short-term hit for the long-term game.
I'm not so okay with the oral socialism.
Oral socialism.
Yeah.
You make it sound so dirty when you put it like that.
Well, whatever. It is what it is. You got to brush your teeth.
True that.
Honestly, I do believe that it is as relevant to talk about the conversation of Vermin Supreme's policies as it is, say, Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
I think it's that relevant that, guess what? Ted Cruz is not ever
Ted Cruz
going to be
mentioned
president.
nothing about a pony.
It's
Nothing
never
about
going to
tooth
happen
care.
at the show. He's not gonna
Nothing
be
about
president.
zombie preparedness.
And neither's Vermin Supreme. Neither men have that in common. They're never going to be president. And we talk about Ted Cruz's policies, so why can't we talk about Vermin Supreme's policies?
That'd be a brave person to look Ted Cruz in the eye while they're making love to him.
Gross. Did you hear Anthony Frida had his image taken down and censored from social media, Facebook?
Really?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? The Hillary and Trump.
Oh, which one was that?
You saw it. Anyway.
I may have shared it a time or two.
Did you?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't share it on Facebook. Oh, Lord, now.
Yeah, it got pulled. It got censored. So
it was it's not safe for work. Very, very.
I am
too
against,
hot. Too hot for TV. Yeah.
You know, I'm for freedom. So what? You know, whatever. But
yeah, I think it'd really be the other way.
I can understand in that circumstance, maybe. If there's kids on Facebook, which there are, that would be the only reason.
Yeah,
but
they're
whatever.
They're showing each other a lot worse than that on Snapchat. So.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Let him put it
It's
up.
a real thing.
Yeah, they shouldn't censor it at all. I'm just kidding. I just I always do that. Have you ever noticed that? I'm the worst about just taking whatever position you have. I will just say the opposite. I don't even care what it is. You tell me what you believe in, and I will say the exact opposite thing and fight for it.
Yeah.
Like I believe it. Don't. I don't believe it at all. Don't care. I just want to argue with you.
All right, fair enough.
That's admirable. That's great. That's a great way to go through.
I did like the picture. Neither one of them looked like that. Probably ever looked like that naked. But
what? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's horrible that they took it down.
Well, I mean, we have a lot of butthurt people on Facebook. Gosh. And that's another thing that this election cycle has really just made it just drag on even worse is you can't step on social media without bumping into somebody from the left or somebody from the right. And, God help you if you decide to go ahead and peek into the comment sections and slip off down that rabbit hole, man. I mean, I've already had to defriend several people that are close to me, or at least hit unfollow or something. And it's not because I disagree with them politically. It's just that's the only thing that they ever post anymore. And that's the only thing going on in their lives, Yeah.
The only time.
We got to stop that evil man, or let's make America great again. We got to stop Hillary,
Only time I unfriend people is I just do it all.
I wish people had.
I just do it in mass.
I wish people had the same furor.
No individual.
As far as voting goes, in the congressional and state representative elections, or the House of Representatives, excuse me, because again, that's where a lot of policy is made. And that's where a lot of the power comes from, and that's where a lot of corporate funding goes off into Congress and the House. So that's why it really doesn't matter who's going to be president. That's why I think Vermin Supreme should be president. Supreme 16, feel the boot.
Yeah, no kidding, Kevin.
He's over there talking about voting libertarian. I mean, really, it's all the same wasted
Yeah.
vote. It's all the
yeah.
same wasted vote.
Yeah.
It's going to be Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. That's going to be sitting in the chair at the end of the day.
Everybody
And that
has
sucks.
an eye roll. Everybody has
That
an eye roll.
absolutely sucks because we have the majority. The
It's
majority
just
of
which
people that are
eye
not
roll do
voting
you
for these
believe in?
candidates.
Which one are you behind? Because here's the situation as we have it. Most people would look at you, Shannon, majority, and go, "You're for who and for what? Who is this guy?"
What is that?
Yeah. Are you serious? That's a joke.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that.
There's no way that person's going to win.
And they think you're nuts, okay? And Kevin, a lot of people look at him and go, "Okay, Kevin, God bless you. God bless you." We're like, this is going to make a difference. I'm going to vote libertarian. And, there's big-time Republicans and Democrats that are like, ha, 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 that's so cute.
Hey, and they're not necessarily wrong. And I think, and the reason I've
I
had
agree
my
with
whole.
him. I think it's pointless, but that's just me. I know.
I missed it. I think I was talking to everyone. You said it was. What did you say? It was pointless to.
Yeah, but I'm Debbie Downer, so listen to me.
Hey, I completely understand.
I'm on this.
I come from an activist background. I was a long-time member of the John Birch Society. Still am. I don't know if you guys know much about them, but they actually got Ron Paul in office in Texas. Not that Alex Jones is anybody to hold up high, but Alex Jones, I know for one, he's brought a lot of people. I'm no Alex Jones fan. I think a lot of us have gone through that phase, but even him and Ron Paul, there's a number of other people who were brought to the liberty mindset by this organization. So I've seen what activists can do when enough people get behind it. And the reason why I do get behind the Libertarian Party is that if enough people are pissed at the two-party system, that the Libertarian Party has not been about necessarily getting people into office. That's kind of been a side piece, but it's about education. So if you know which way your state's going to pick in the electoral college, pick your vote. If the Libertarian Party gets 5% in this next election, which will be the closest time we've come to it, we'll actually get a shot at financial federal campaign matching funds, and opens up a ton of doors to actual ballot access. And you say, I understand completely what you say about it seems useless, but people don't realize that even John Kasich, for example, went to bat and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep the Libertarian Party off the ballot in his own state.
No, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't do that.
No, they shouldn't. But this goes on in every state, and it's not because they don't. The parties don't spend, and they actually collude. Even not on just on the federal stage, but even on the city and state, local stage, you see Republicans and Democrats working together to keep third parties, and not just Libertarian parties by any means, but even like the Green Party and even some of the Constitution Party off the ballot. And it's not because they think,
that shouldn't happen. Anybody?
Yeah, there's a challenge there.
There needs to be different qualifications. I understand you can't have 200 people on the ballot, which is, of course, the argument. We can't just have everybody on the ballot.
Right.
But there have to be provisions made where every single person on the ballot is given this amount of time to present their argument to the American people, all of them, whether it's, 30 minutes a night for, whatever, a year. People aren't present for a long time. They'll figure it out. They went to the moon, man. They can do things.
I actually talked to an old fella yesterday that honestly still believes we didn't go to the moon.
Oh, I don't know or care.
But it was a short conversation.
I tell you what, I wanted to go ahead and say this to you, Kevin. I don't in any way, and I'm sure I come across this way to people. In any way, shape, or form, do I think, Kevin's voted? Oh, he's libertarian. I don't know.
I understand.
I completely applaud for it. Like, I think that's great. And I hope, please, by all means, I hope you make a difference. Like, I hope that's where you make change, and I hope that happens. God bless you.
Well, and I feel the same way. It's a death by 1,000 cuts, that we lose our liberty. And so it's only going to be, everybody's got their place, I think, their role that they can do. And I think it's got to be if you're going to beat back the state whatsoever, I think some of us are born to resist, even if we're losing. And I think that's me personally. So that's a personal thing in me that makes me push back. But I think all of us, we would not be spending your nights, and you too, Shannon, doing a radio show if you didn't think that there was a case for liberty to some degree to be made.
No, what it is, no, totally what it is we all, the liberty movement, if you want to call it that, if you just want to talk about being awake, being aware, living in a free society, whatever, it is a machine, and it takes, whatever system is running, there's different pieces to the machine. Everybody has their place, everybody has their thing, and that goes with everything in life. So, I'm not the guy that's, into being in any political party or calling myself anyist. I don't care.
Oh, I mean, and I completely understand. Like I said, you're doing your thing, and everybody else is. Everybody's got their own thing to do, man. And I think as long as you're participating, I give you a big nod up. Whatever your thing is, so be it.
I definitely think people need to be aware of what's going on. I think the truth needs to get out there, and I think that's the biggest thing. For me, it is about continually being lied to. The reason that I personally got interested in pursuing, trying, I guess, to wake people up. I guess that's how we got doing this. Is because of us constantly being lied to about everything. And it just gets old. It's like, really? This again? Again? We have to do this. We got to go through this whole show. Like, oh, this really happened. This is cute. Ha, 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 ha. That's fine. Let me tell you something. I don't care. I don't care how much I go on about it. I don't care if they say it happened a long time ago. I don't care. Get over it. Whatever. Or you're crazy. You're a nut job. You're a conspiracy. No. Show me a plane in the Pentagon. Guess what? I don't care. Where's the plane? Where is it? Where's the plane at the hole in Pennsylvania? Don't care. Think I'm crazy? Fine. Show me. Show me.
Well, you don't even have to see the plane. It interests at least for the Pennsylvania. There's some edited videos, but there's a video, and it was claimed that he misspoke, but Donald Rumsfeld mentioned the plane being shot down in Pennsylvania.
That guy.
Oh, look. Here's the thing. Maybe. I'll tell you this much, though. Still haven't seen a plane. Shot down, not shot down, maybe. Don't know.
They made a movie about it. Come on, man. Yeah, how can you make a movie about a plane that may or may not have been there?
I personally am going to be completely realistic about the situation. No, listen.
Let's roll, man.
No,
that happened.
Garbage didn't happen. I'm going to tell you something. I am not telling you that I believe, this huge inside job. I personally can't tell you the complete ins and outs. I do know there's a lot of cover-up, it appears, when you hear all the different versions of all the different stories and a lot of different things. So that's a whole different conversation. You could get into that all night of all the different reasons.
Ben Watson's and Bush's being best friends forever.
Yeah, you're going. No,
the official story is bullshit. That's what it comes down to.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. But
Zero Dark 30.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, you can get into all that. At the end of the day, the only thing we know personally that we've seen, we've experienced, we know in our lives, there was not a plane in that hole, and there was not a plane in the hole in the Pentagon that I have seen. If someone shows it to me, we will continue and be like, look, okay, I was wrong. Fair enough. There's a plane. What's wrong? That's what I'm saying.
Well, you're obviously not the only one that...
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend I know something I don't. I'm not going to go, I know for a second that Dick Cheney colluded, blah, 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 blah. I have suspicions about those people. I suspect they're horrible, evil people that do these things, but I don't know that for a fact. I know for a fact that I have seen no planes. Please, someone address that. Someone, why doesn't Anderson Cooper, he has a platform a lot larger than us, go, okay, look, we probably got to talk about this.
Well, that's not popular on mainstream TV, but I tell you who has addressed
That's
it.
why, of course it's not possible, and that's why I do what I do for anti-media, and I think that's why all of us do what we do, is just for somebody to go, hey, please talk about this, address this. Just do something here. What's the situation? There's 28 pages sitting over there. Can we talk about that? Nope.
Can you take some of the black marks off of them? Let's see what's up underneath of them. Yeah.
I'm not going to this whole conspiracy. I know this. I don't know those things. I'm not going to pretend I do know those things because I don't. I suspect certain things, but I don't know any of it. But I know I hadn't seen a plane.
Well, General Stubblebine, I don't know if you know who that is. There's some great videos on the internet, on YouTube of him. He was the general of All-American Intelligence, and at one time he was the head of literally all of the American intelligence system, and he has said the exact same thing in a number of places, that basically he's looked, and this is a guy whose whole career was built around looking at evidence and photographs, videotape, all sorts of that stuff, and he is making the same argument asking about the planes, but his name is General Stubblebine. Great guy, really interesting. And this is not some guy in the back of a magazine. This is not us on late night radio talk. But this is people, and he's just one of many people who are raising the same serious questions that you're asking. Not having to tell you what happened, just using even the Socratic method, I believe it is, just asking questions. And you can usually arrive to say, hey, there's definitely something going on here.
And I'm going to tell you something.
Bullshit.
I believe this, and I talk about it because, here on Politics and Wrestling, we talk about Donald Trump quite often. But when Donald Trump brought up, alluded to the 28 pages about who was 9/11, and you might find out, somebody else was behind it. You talk about Saudi Arabia.
Hey,
I think he even may have
candy?
said Saudi Arabia. I don't remember.
Want some candy? Get them up on my band. Come on now, I got candy.
Oh, no, but what I'm saying about that is, again, he has to throw out everything and get everybody in. So, whatever. He reached out to Alex Jones.
I got a Snickers bar. You like Snickers?
But that's not the point. The point is if Ron Paul would have said that, what he said, the media would have responded with, can you believe what this crazy old man has said? He has gone 9/11 truther. He's getting on those websites and he's believing those things. That's what they would say. They'd say he was crazy.
Next thing you know, he's going to be talking about chemtrails.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. What you feel about vaccines, Ron? That's what
Donald Trump is making a statement, and he's not the only one. And if he gets into office,
why didn't the media jump on Donald Trump? And I'll tell you why I personally believe it is because if they jumped on him for that, he would push back. If he pushed back, all of a sudden that is
open a dialogue.
That opens a dialogue, and there is now a conversation happening about something
media
nobody wants anybody talking about at all.
Yeah. Y'all
just gonna pretend you didn't say that and keep going.
That was a little bit of pushback from him. Actually, that response was because if you remember, he had actually had a couple debate performances. One in particular, where he really had a lot of boos when he insinuated or actually said in response to a conversation of back and forth with Jeb that his brother actually knew that 9/11 was going to happen. He was referring to that memo that the White House had.
A little bit of scoff at him, but not much.
No, and it was little about it, but I did see several places that they mentioned that he was now a conspiracy theorist, and that was really more or less following up on what Jeb was trying to paint him as a lunatic and brush it aside. So I saw a little bit of that, but that was why we heard the pushback, I think, to come back. He was getting a little bit further into there's more to the 9/11 story than what Jeb is saying. in response to his brothers. It's funny, we mentioned that's not brought up very much. It's funny. I'm seeing an article at the New Yorker about those 28 pages. But even Congressman Massey, I don't know if you guys have seen what Congressman Massey. Have you seen what he said about the 28 pages?
Yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah, he is. Man, that guy's awesome. And he's given the most information about the 28 pages that I've seen yet. So we got there's a few good men out there, and a growing number of congressmen.
Yeah, a few slide through. A few slide through, not many, but yeah.
They don't make it as far as Hillary Clinton, though. That's for sure.
I tell you,
not the way the game's rigged. You got to know how to play the game.
Well, Trump definitely does. But when you rewrite the rules to the game,
to the game. Speak of the game, is Roman going to take that belt?
I don't know.
I hope not. On politics and wrestling.
Well, do you think Trump will make an appearance at WrestleMania? Oh, he has to.
Oh, my gosh, that would be great.
He would be a fool.
Oh, my goodness, that would be great.
Vince will pull a favor from an old friend. Come on now.
Oh, if that happens.
That's going to happen. You better record it.
Oh, that would be
Are you recording it?
You
going to DVR it?
I don't have to. It's part of the network.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
on politics and wrestling. Oh, my God.
On the next, politics and wrestling.
Stop that nonsense. Stop. Why is this happening?
I don't know.
It's like I'm too different.
What the hell are you tapping on over there?
I don't know.
I hate you so bad.
Yeah, it's all right.
I've gone this whole entire show and you haven't fired anybody. This show's been.
Oh wow, that's why I thought this show was going so well because I haven't fired either one.
This show has been a complete letdown for me.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
4 minutes.
Oh God, do we have that long?
So yeah, don't let it burn. Feel the
fire me first, so Kevin has to finish the show with you.
Yeah, nobody has gotten fired. I tell you what, I wanted to ask Kevin this question real quick. Being more of your more political leanings, what did you think with the whole Justin Amash endorsing Ted Cruz situation?
Hello, Kevin. Have we lost Kevin?
We have, but we're having really bad weather, so that is explainable.
Yeah, I think I think this probably will be our last show. I think we're going to get blown away here in a minute.
I don't think we will.
I'm surprised we hadn't got struck by lightning. So,
say a tornado warning somewhere around here.
It's a government conspiracy. That's what's happening.
I hope everybody is safe.
Absolutely.
Honesty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's that time of year.
I'm not just saying that to be all like PR either. Like I really mean that.
Yeah,
because like that would make me cringe. Oh, that thing. You're that guy. No.
Yeah, well, living in this area, we do know people personally in our personal lives that have been personally affected by tornadoes.
My grandma's been through three tornadoes.
Wow,
like bad.
Yeah.
Yep. 3. That's unreal. Like, we get them bad. You always think about
in the same house.
No, different houses. One was in Tennessee. 2 were here.
That's a conspiracy right there.
2 were here. 1 was in Tennessee.
What does she know?
Like the kid that was at the.
She knows some secrets.
Let's see. What was the kid? He was at Brussels. He was at Boston, and he was at Paris.
Kind of like that same girl that shows up at all the disaster videos.
Yeah, but no, I don't think that's real though. I think that's just a picture of some girl that they kind of looks alike. I don't think that's the same girl.
Yeah.
It could be, but I don't think it is. I don't believe it. I believe it's just like, okay. That's
maybe
similar.
think it's like a Twilight Zone thing.
I don't think it's the same person.
That's
me personally.
Somebody needs to make that movie the Disaster Girl movie.
It's just a picture on the internet. I mean,
because if you make a movie about it, kind of like
it's funny. It's
Zero
a funny
Dark
joke.
30 or what was it, United 93 or whatever. You can make a movie about it, and suddenly it becomes a part of history.
I celebrate it. Like I celebrate that meme.
So,
I think it's funny.
You know how much money we could make it?
I don't believe it.
A Disaster Girl movie. I mean, that's a gold mine. We're sitting on a gold mine right now.
Oh man,
I'm working on the script after the show.
Please do. I'm going to be a part of it, and I'm going to steal the idea, and I'm going to run with it.
I said it first, y'all. It's a matter
No,
of
it-
public record now.
You're fine. It's my idea. Almost.
Almost made it.
Join us next week. This is Anti-Media Radio. I'm your host, S.M. Gibson. Thank you for sharing.
I'ma let them know, no, through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.